They were in the midst of doing a little site preparation. This morning, about 10 tons of compost lime application was put on per acre, and there's a D8 in the background that's ripping currently at 3 feet. And when he starts his second and third pass, we'll be going down to 4.5 feet across this field. It's very hard and dry. It's very difficult for the D8 to go through right now. He's cross-ripping the vineyard site that we're going to plant. The client wanted to pull out the vines after about 25 years. They were not very productive and the quality was not that good. We just kind of rough pruned them during the winter time and really let them grow out and try to absorb as much water out of the soil as it possible can. We've had to have USA come out a couple of times, which is a free service to mark the water lines and the underground gas lines throughout the perimeter of the property so we don't destroy those. So this is what basically 10 tons of lime / compost, mostly compost. We didn't have too much lime to the mix because we just wanted to have the compost flow. But you can see it's not very thick, it's a light dusting. 10 tons per acre is just a very light coating on top of the soil. You can see where the semi had driven through here and while he was spreading this morning, but it will help with the pre-plant operation. And we wanted to get that on before the ground prep work got started. I don't personally own the equipment. I'd rather just make a phone call and have them come out and do the work, such as pulling the vines and doing the ripping. You see here that the tractor is struggling, pulling those 2 shanks approximately 3 feet. The soil is again very hard and dry, and just a very difficult time, but the second and third passes should be a little bit easier as he goes through, because now he's broken up the first pass with the rippers. So he's ripping approximately 4 feet on center right now, straddles one of the rip marks with the second pass. We'll do a diagonal pass of 4 feet and a direction of planting pass approximately 4 feet deep as well, so that we ensure we have good loose soil for planting purposes next spring. Because of the high pressure gas line, we have to be at least 10 feet away from it in our ripping operation or any work here. After the ripping is done, a crew will come through once again and start picking up all the roots, root fragments. So we'll try to get all of these roots here as much as possible, just so that we can minimize any nematodes or phylloxera that might be living here. The main reason for a lot of the preparation work that we do here on this site is mainly so we could focus on developing vines. We know that these vines on this type of soil and with this rootstock that we're using really utilize a split canopy much better than a highly dense planting of high density planting. We can utilize that soil profile much more. The roots of these vines here, even in this block, are pretty extensive. This block here is approximately 10 years old right now, and typically we get 6.5 to 7 tons to the acre of Cabernet in the Rutherford bench. These vines do require a lot of water, and constantly monitoring the need for water and nutrients and applying just what the vines need per week or per month is really important because of the health of the vines. We want to maintain as much green leaves going into the final steps of harvest maturity. And you can see here there's just a little bit of effect of the dust, the famed Rutherford dust that lands on this fruit, or it could be classified as a bloom. By rubbing off the dusty part, you kind of expose and make a glossy berry like that, but there's a lot of dust on top of this fruit, and that's really a protective layer from the sun, from not getting too much sunburn. So if we had rubbed all these off or put on too much spreader in our spray program, we may not have this, what we call bloom here, and we'd have these shiny surfaces, and those a lot more susceptible to some potential sunburn damage. But again, we try to maintain a very green profile here, green leaves all the way through the maturity. We don't want to see too many yellow leaves. The canopies have been leafed and laterals have been removed sufficiently to allow dappled sunlight into the fruit zone, whether it's on the morning side or the afternoon side. We know it can get very hot sometimes, and we need to protect the fruit from as much sunburn as exposure as possible. The canes are tipped with a tractor-mounted machine, and consequently a lateral here has grown from that actual part. But generally the laterals that we remove are more down in the fruit zone and sometimes a little bit of leaves, so that way again we get this dappled light effect through onto the clusters.